Good afternoon, students. Today, let's see few of the external boiler water treatment methods. Before going into this session, let's recap what is the internal water treatment system, what we have come across so far. So, the internal feed water treatment is just by adding chemicals to the boiler water so that the dissolved solids in the water will be get removed so as to prevent the scale formation, and it also nullifies the effects of external treatment. So these are the few of the chemicals that is used in the internal treatment like sodium carbonate, sodium phosphate, sodium aluminase, as well as the blowdown system. And all volatile treatment system is also one of the internal treatment system where we will be using filming amine, dispersing amine, as well as neutralization amine for treatment. So from the name itself you could say what is this. So in case of filming amine, this filming amine will be forming as a protective barrier between the metal surface, that is your boiler surface, as well as water, so that no particles or sludge or scale is get stuck with it of your metal surface. So in case of dispersing amine, the amine will be get dispersed with it of your water, and it removes all the corroded materials along with it, which can be removed further by your blowdown methods. So then next is your neutralization amine, where this neutralizing amine, it reacts with the carbonic acids and it forms bicarbonate, which can be removed by your blowdown mechanism. So what is the advantages of this ABT is it forms a protective film, as we already saw, therefore it prevents oxygen pitting. It also neutralizes the carbon dioxide completely, and it prevents the carbonic acid corrosion also. So it disperses loose corrosion deposits, and it's very easier to be dosed as well as monitored as well as for handling. And it also eliminates the phosphates. But there are certain limitations of ABT because it can be used only in power boilers where makeup water is 99% steam condensate, that means pure water. Hence, high purity feed water is mandatory for this, and it increases the load on CPU and it reduces the life of resin. So excess level of ammonia, it will accelerate the copper corrosion. So low boiler water pH, there are chances of silica carry over to turbine. No protection from chloride attack as no buffer alkalinity is available. So normally this chemicals what is selected for your internal treatment can be dosed either on continuous basis or intermittent basis. So if it is done on continuous basis with the dilution in water, we recommend a 10% of dilution, and this dilution and the dosage is based upon the feed water quantity, which can be derived from this formula. This shows the quantity that is required in kg per day. So the selection of this internal treatments is based upon the boiler pressure, application of the steam, feed water pre-treatment, feed water quality, boiler operating conditions like feed water temperature, percentage blowdown, as well as customer requirement. Now let's see about the external treatment, what we have to do for this feed water. So in the external treatment, we have both insoluble, soluble, as well as gaseous one. So here all these materials, all these substances are present in the feed water, which has to be removed. So you could see here in case of this external treatment, if it is insoluble, we can do it by settling or clarification or filtration mechanisms. If it is soluble, we can go with softening or demineralization as well as reverse osmosis. In case of gaseous, we'll go with oxygen. If it is oxygen materials, we can go for deaerators, and if it is chlorine related substances are present, we can go with activated carbon. So this is the external water treatment system. When we go for this external water treatment system is whenever the makeup water quantity is large and it contains considerable suspended as well as dissolved solid materials, we'll go for external water treatment system. So the suspended solid material is generally removed by mechanical means, and the dissolved solids are removed with the use of chemical treatment. And dissolved gases can be removed by means of thermal treatment. So mechanical treatment, as we all know, it includes sedimentation, coagulation, and filtration. We have seen a lot in the environmental engineering and other subjects. So here you could see that the wastewater, or the feed water is just taken to the coagulation tank, where the particular coagulants like alum and what or the other coagulants, ferrous sulfate, ferrichlorate can be added, and it's given a rapid mixing. Then it's further subjected to slow mixing so that the flocculants get mixed together, it will attach together and it will get settled, and it will be taken to the clarifier where it will be get settled and it will be get filtered, and the filter water can be used for your boiler purpose. So on chemical treatment, it includes zeolite ion exchange process as well as demineralization process. So now we'll see what is zeolite process. It is, as we all know, zeolite is a catalyst that is used in many industrial purposes for water purification. This is a picture that is showing the zeolite process where the hot water is fed at the top. It will be get sprayed on the zeolite bed, and after it is get treated, it is get removed at the bottom. So this zeolite process, it can be, the zeolites are of two types, either natural and artificial, and we can use any of these methods based upon our requirement, and this is one of the successful treatment because these zeolites can be easily regenerated. So this calcium and magnesium ions, when it treated with hot water, it forms sodium zeolite, and this sodium zeolite, it can be easily regenerated. So this, the regeneration equation is shown here. This calcium zeolite, when it reacts with sodium chloride, it forms sodium zeolite, that is, it gets regenerated, and the calcium chloride is formed. Similarly, magnesium zeolite, it reacts with sodium chloride to form sodium zeolite as well as magnesium chloride. So what is the advantages of this zeolite treatment is it's very effective in removing the hardness, and it is easy and inexpensive in operation, and no problem of filtration of softened water as well as sludge removal. It is compact and it occupies less space. When we come across the disadvantages, filtration of turbid water is required before it is passed through the process, and water of high or low pH value has deleterious effect on zeolite. So treated water contains more sodium salts also. So then the next process is your demineralization or your ion exchange process. Here what we do is reversible exchange of ions contained in a fluid is done with those contained on a solid without a permanent change in the solid structure. That is, water to be treated is first sent to a series of cation bed, then it is passed on to the anion exchanges, then finally it is taken to the towers, as then it will be get removed off. So this is a demineralization where we could have cation resins, that is your positively charged ions, which has a functional group of RH, that is your hydrogen ions, and R represents the exchange resin and H represents the attached hydrogen ion. So in case of anion resins, so after the water is passed to the cation, it is then taken to the anion resins, where this anion resins are your negatively charged groups, which is shown by your hydroxyl ion OH groups, that is ROH is commonly used as a functional group in this anion resin. So this is the reaction that takes place here. So the calcium and magnesium and sodium sulfate, chloride, etc., what is present in the water, it reacts with the hydrogen zeolite and it forms calcium, magnesium as well as sodium along with the zeolite, and along with that it will form sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, carbonic acid and nitric acid in a cation bed. Then it will be taken to the anion bed, where the sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid and nitric acid, it will be react with the hydroxyl zeolite and it forms zeolite as well as sulfate, chloride and nitrate plus water. So which can be taken to the decasifier tower, which will be filled with porcelain packing. So that is that. When it comes in contact with the low pressure air at bottom, carbon dioxide will be liberated and it will be vented from the top of the tower. So this is a demineralization plant. So what is the main use of this demineralization is to remove the minerals. From the name itself, we could say that by using the ion exchange process. And demineralized water is completely free of dissolved. That is completely means we could say almost the dissolved minerals will be get free of by use of this any of these mechanisms like distillation, deionization, membrane filtration. We have reverse osmosis or nanofiltration, electrodialysis or other technologies. So as we already seen, demineralization is a complete removal of all salts. It is done by your cation resins as well as with it of your anion resins. As we already saw, the cations will be react with it of the hydrogen ions, that by it produces hydrochloric, sulfuric as well as carbonic acid. And this carbonic acid is removed in degassing tower, in which air is blown through the acid water. Following this, the water passes through an anion resin, which exchange anions with the mineral acid and it forms water. So regeneration of these cations and anions is necessary at intervals using mineral acid as well as caustic soda respectively. The complete removal of silica can be achieved by correct choice of anion resin. Ion exchange processes can be used for almost total demineralization if required, as in case in large electric power plant boilers. So these are the ions which are widely found in raw waters. When you see cations, we can have calcium, magnesium, sodium and potassium. Under anions, we have chlorides, bicarbonates, nitrates as well as carbonates. So what is the main purpose of the demineralization is remove these ionic substances and making the reduction of conductivity and to control the pH. So this is a picture that is showing a demineralization plant where we have cation unit as well as the anion unit. So this could also see here, that is we have a cation exchanger followed by anion exchanger, then we have a degasifier as well as a silico observer. So that is shown here. And this is one more schematic diagram of your demineralization plant where the feed water is sent to the sand filter, then it is taken to the cation exchanger, as well as we have degassing tank and anion exchanger, then it finally taken to the neutralization tank for making this pH to be get neutralized, then it is taken to the conductivity or pH meters. This is the real time picture of your demineralization. So what is the principle in this demineralization is raw water is then passed to two small polystyrene bed filled, that is ion exchange beds, while the cation gets exchanged with the hydrogen ions in first bed and the anions are exchanged with hydroxyl ion in the second one. So here this is a very rapid and reversible process in which impurity ions present in the water are replaced by ions released by an ion exchange resin. The impurities ions are taken up by the resin, which must be periodically regenerated to restore it to the original ionic form. An ion is an atom or a group of atoms with electric charge, as we already know. So positively charged ions are called cations and they are usually metals, and negatively charged ions are called anions and they are usually non-metals. So there are two types of resins, as we already seen, cation exchange resins as well as anion exchange resins. So where do we go for using this ion exchange treatment is, normally we can use this cation exchange resin alone for softening water, or if it is anion exchange resins, we can use it for organic scavenging or nitrate removal. In certain cases, we can go for a combination of a cation exchange as well as anion exchange, as we already see, to remove the impurities, ionic impurities present in the feed water in the process known as deionization. So water deionizes purification process results in water of exceptionally high quality. So many laboratory and industrial applications, they use this deionization process, and there are two most common types of deionization. One is two-bed deionization and other one is mixed bed deionization. So in two-bed deionization, as we all saw, we have a cation exchanger bed as well as the anion exchanger bed, and the raw water is fed to this two process continuously. It is get treated and the ions gets removed, then finally it is get sent out. So what is mixed bed deionizer means? In this case, the cation as well as the anion exchange resins are intimately mixed and contained in a single pressure vessel. So the thorough mixture of cation exchanger and anion exchanger in a single column, it makes a mixed bed deionizer equivalent to a lengthy series of two bed plants. As a result, the water quality obtained from a mixed bed deionizer is appreciably higher than that is produced by a two bed plant. So what is the advantages of this deionization is variety of cost effective standard models are there. It improves the aesthetics and drug design. It is user friendly, low maintenance and easy to install. It is simple in distribution and collection system. It's quick availability. Pre-dispatch assembly is easy. And the multi-port valves are top mounted as well as side mounted with the necessary high pressure rating PVC piping. And single valve operation as compared to the 6 valves in conventional filters. So where do we use normally this deionization methods? Normally we do this demineralization or deionization for boiler feed waters, and especially in industries like textiles, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, breweries, swimming pools, potable waters, hospitals, automobiles, batteries and fertilizers. Apart from this ion exchange plants can be used as a softener, and it can be used as an industrial demineralization plant, two-stage and multi-stage demineralization plants, mixed bed demineralization, degasifiers, cation polisher, manual or automatic plants, pharmaceutical industry, power plant, oil and gas sector, chemical industries as well as textile industries. So in the next session, we will see the other external treatment methods. Thank you.